When a seasonal server ends, the game mode dies. That's typical. We knew Season Discovery was coming to an end. Its numbers have cratered off a cliff. One of the worst craterings we've ever really seen since Phase 3 of Season Discovery. Kinda ironic that Season Discovery had that happen again. But when you look at the numbers, it's a pretty grim tale. 75,000 people just about 4 weeks ago. And we are at 20,000 players right now. Still raiding, mind you. And I expect next week to be under 10,000. And I expect within about another month, there'll be less than 5,000 people playing Season Discovery, if even that. But we knew Season Discovery was ending. That's nothing special. That was an expected outcome for the seasonal game mode coming to a closing end. A finale to a good chapter, not the best ending, but a rather good experience overall. But the rest of the Classic has interesting things happening. For example, Anniversary is starting to see a slight decline. Down from its peak of 104,000, down to about just over 90,000 players. Now, this drop was somewhat expected. It's been a long time since Blackwing Lair, and now ZG has been out, and AQ is what's coming out. A lot of people just aren't really looking forward to that with the rank 14 grind, all of these little qualms and issues with the game. We're gonna be seeing about 2,500 to 5,000 people leaving every week, give or take. I don't expect this decline to be massive and instant and just drop off a cliff like SOD. I expect it to be a smooth decline, down and down and down, until we hit about around the 65,000 player range. It may go lower than that, it may be slightly higher than that, but I don't expect it to get anywhere super low. Anniversary is still a very popular, very excitable game mode. People are interested in it and people love it. It's not going to die. I don't expect at any point in the future Anniversary will die. Some people may be sick of Classic, fair enough, but a lot of people love and breathe this game. It ain't going nowhere. Another interesting facet is, while Anniversary goes down piecemeal by piecemeal very slowly, Era's been going up a little bit. Era went from about 10k to about 13, 14,000. I expect it to keep climbing very, very slowly, especially as Anniversary gets towards Nax Rammus. I expect Anniversary to see a huge decline around Nax, and Era to see a big pump up around then, because a lot of people want to do GDKPs, they want to do classic raids and, you know, enjoy that stuff. So when we're going to TBC Anniversary, a lot of those Classic Era only people are going back to Classic Era because they don't really care about TBC. Now, TBC itself will be popular, but that's a different topic. We're not going to discuss that right now. And the final subset of numbers, Mists of Pandaria. Now, Mists of Pandaria, it's in pre-patch, right? The numbers are not going to be accurate. They're not going to be accurate at all till about, I want to say, 2 to 3 weeks after the first raid tier launches. So we'll get those accurate numbers in about a month from now about what the Mists of Pandaria player base is going to look like. Now, keep in mind, this was all just raid numbers. And we're not really going to get that clear, absolute picture until much later on. If we could actually see the exact metrics, Anniversary is probably a lot more popular than people think, and SOD may still actually have a very healthy player base, but because we only see raid numbers, when those raid numbers decline, people correlate that to actual player count. For example, Hardcore has a much bigger player count than is shown, but you can only calculate Hardcore's players by the amount of people raiding, which is objectively a false way to measure something like Hardcore. Regardless, Cataclysm is dropping, it's going to keep dropping. I expect it to get a low of about the week before Mists of Pandaria launches itself on July 21st. So that's about where we're going to see the Cataclysm numbers, probably around 30, 40,000, maybe just around that. And then a huge climb and climb. I expect Mists of Pandaria to realistically have around 150,000 to 300,000 raiders. I can't be exact on that, because nobody's really sure on the popularity of Mists of Pandaria. It goes back and forth on whether the game is really popular or nobody gives a shit. And we're not going to figure that out till about 3 weeks from Mists of Pandaria's launch and we get those raid numbers accurately. Now though, the retail drama. Now, if you haven't been following it along, it's something really interesting because they released a cinematic with the latest patch, and the cinematic for a lot of people was just not Warcraft. It was really antithetical to what Warcraft is meant to be. And you look at that and you just think to yourself, well, why was it that bad? And I'm just going to let the trailer play, so take a look at the cinematic.
Stop this! Dinath fought to save all of Azeroth. He sold us out so the Alliance and Horde could wage war in Kar-Zalgar.
Now, you looked at that cinematic and you're probably thinking to yourself, that's satire, right? but it's not. That's an actual in-game cinematic. Now, the story within The War Within isn't actually terrible. Across the board, some elements aren't as good, some elements are really good, but the story is, you know, above average for the World of Warcraft expansions if you're calculating everything. It's a decent experience. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, right? It might be a bit too careberry, too hugging it out, too power of friendship for you, but it's still an okay story. And if you look at all the story beats, what actually happened in the cinematic makes sense. But the way they showcased it, that finale, that cinematic was rather poor for a lot of people. It just didn't feel Warcraft, it didn't feel smooth, and as far as in-game cinematics go, it was really, really low quality. We had things like the Wrathgate back in 2008, and you're telling me this is the quality of in-game cinematics we get in 2025? A lot of people were a little disappointed in seeing this. It became an online joke, a meme just mocking World of Warcraft. Hey yo, woke in 2025, this is what you get, World of Warcraft. Like, there's a lot of really negative statements in regards to what the cinematic has showcased to a lot of people. Now, I already made a whole video about this. I'm not going to go into a huge tangent and rant about this. It's just a disappointing experience because it could have been so much better. The fight could have been cool, the dialogue could have been cool, the entire experience could have been cool. But Dana's Trollbane just going, no, don't be like them, you'll make her a martyr, is bad storytelling. It's just not smooth. And I know the overarching story makes sense, but the way you showcase it matters. That was bad. Now we go on to Mists of Pandaria and the hype. We are in pre-patch right now. On July 21st, Mists of Pandaria drops and everybody's incredibly excited for it. A lot of people are. Now people are kind of debating how popular it really is, but none of that really matters because a lot of people are playing. They're actually in the game world enjoying Mists of Pandaria. Heck, I was actually a big advocate against it. I was shitting on it. I was being somewhat negative of Mists of Pandaria. And now I'm playing it and I'm having a good time. Would I prefer Season of Discovery Continues or Classic Plus? Of course. TBC Anniversary? Of course. But Mists of Pandaria is not a bad experience at all. It's interesting because it's not retail, but it's clearly not Classic. It's this weird middle ground where you're far from Classic, but you're pretty far from retail. So it's an enjoyable experience. Would I have chosen to play this? Probably not, but now that it's here, I'm having a decent time. But the world is packed, people are leveling, a lot of guilds are recruiting, there's dungeons going on all the time, the leveling zones are packed. Everybody's having a phenomenal time just diving into the world, just trying to fill at the time and try to have something to do in the meantime. Whether they're waiting for something else or they truly enjoy Mists of Pandaria, it's actually relatively popular, which might be surprising to a lot of people because a lot of people thought it was going to be a big flop, nobody was coming, nobody's playing, but they are. Now we'll get a better number of exactly how many people are playing in a couple of weeks from now, and I'll make a video about that when that does happen, about what the game world looks like, how full it is, how active it is. But as it stands right now, Mists of Pandaria's doing really good, and if you're looking for something to play in the meantime, what do you have to lose? You're paying for the sub anyways, try it out. But now we have the big one. Gamescom and Classic Plus. Now, Gamescom is coming out August 20th this year, and it's about Midnight WoW. But the reason a lot of people are so excited for Gamescom is because of the statement they put at the end of their post. And that statement is a few additional surprises. Now, when you hear that, you think, oh my god, what could that be? And I'm gonna be real, it's not Classic Plus. I have people ask me this all the time. They're not going to announce Classic Plus at a show dedicated to Midnight WoW. This show is about player housing, teasing Midnight WoW's, I don't know, allied races, the new capstone feature, because player housing is not the capstone feature of Midnight WoW. It's one of the features of The War Within. Midnight WoW's capstone feature is unknown as of now. Are they going to add new zones? How are they tweaking Northern Lordaeron? Well, that's the area that they're going, because, you know, they're going Quel'Thalas, you know, Ghostlands, they're doing all those locations, Eastern Western Plaguelands, Lordaeron itself, all of that is part of that Northern Lordaeron redesign. We're not sure exactly how many zones there's going to be though. So Midnight WoW's showcase at Gamescom is about Midnight WoW, and Classic Plus may get mentioned. And I wrote down what I think they'll do at best, and this is an at best scenario. And this is the quote I think they might say. There'll be more Classic discussion at Warcraft Direct later this year, plus you can keep your excitement going with Mob Classic in the meantime. And they'll show us a roadmap, you know, they'll show TBC Anniversary's release date, they might show some extra little features, gimmicks, they'll do Legion Remix's release date, that new Town of Salem game mode in Duskwood. they'll do some extra announcements. They might tease the plus, but they're not going to showcase shit. Let's be real here. That is a BlizzCon announcement. That's not an announcement for a Gamescom announcement. Classic Plus is a Game Awards. It's a BlizzCon. It's an Xbox showcase capstone announcement. Classic Plus isn't just going to be shown at Gamescom and overtake all the midnight hype. They're not going to do that. So that rumor needs to get put to rest. Now, I could be wrong, and I'm gonna be real. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they announce Classic Plus at the Gamescom announcement. But we're all setting ourselves up for failure by believing into that hype that Gamescom is going to have Classic Plus. There's gonna be a lot of cool announcements. We'll get TBC's release date. We'll get the Warcraft Direct release date for later this year. But it's not gonna be Classic Plus. And that sucks for me to say, but that is what it is. But thank you all for watching. If you like this video, like and subscribe. If you hated it, understandable. Be a dedicated hater. Don't half-ass that shit. We hate hardcore on this channel. So be creative. Thank you all. Ebonhard out. Peace.